Today's game features Roman Dzindzichashvili playing as white against Mikhail Tal as black. Move 1. White advances the pawn to e4. Black advances to e5. White repositions the knight to f3. Black places the knight on c6. Developing with purpose. On move 5, white advances to d4, preventing counterplay. Black pawn takes pawn. At this point, develops the bishop naturally. Black completes minor piece development. White advances the pawn to e5. Black brings the knight to e4. White bishop slides to d5. Black repositions the knight to c5. Meanwhile, white completes development with kingside castling. Black bishop to e7. On move 15, white brings the rook to e1. And here, black short castle. White now plays knight removes the pawn. Next, knight captures knight. White queen captures knight. Black advances the pawn, developing with tempo. White reroutes the knight to c3. Black develops the knight to e6. It's white's turn. Queen shifts to e4. Continuing, pawn moves to c6. On move 25, white pawn captures the pawn on d6. Moving forward, bishop snaps up the pawn. White repositions the bishop. Black the queen enters the battle. White brings the queen into the fray. Black repositions the bishop for better activity. White improves the bishop's scope. So, black pawn moves to f5. At this point, white places the bishop on c4. Black brings the rook to e8, exploiting the weakness. On move 35, white places the bishop on d2. Black responds with pawn to b5, addressing the positional weakness. Moving forward, improves the bishop's scope. Black king moves to h8. Moving forward, white rook invades on d1. Black finds a better square for the knight. White pawn to h3, improving the pawn structure. Black responds with pawn moves to b4. That's a mistake. White rook takes the rook. Black rook exchanges into the endgame. Missing the best continuation. Move 45. White queen captures pawn. A devastating blunder. Black repositions the knight to e4. White queen moves to c4. Black develops the bishop to e6, a huge mistake. White queen moves to d3, improving the king's position. Black bishop captures the bishop on b3. Now, white takes the knight with the knight. Black plays bishop captures pawn, moving closer to victory. White now plays boldly takes bishop with the queen, bringing the pieces to ideal squares. Black now plays slides the queen to c8, demonstrating perfect technique. Move 55. White repositions the rook, improving the position quietly. Meanwhile, black pawn takes knight, winning material. White continues with develops the bishop to c3. Black queen moves to f5. An inaccuracy. White cuts off the enemy king with the rook. Now, brings the king forward. White now deploys the rook to g3, demonstrating endgame mastery. Black advances to g6. White deploys the queen to d4, a model endgame performance. Black moves the king. We're at move 65. White repositions the queen to g7, and check. So, activates the king, creating a breakthrough. White boldly takes pawn with the queen. Meanwhile, black advances to g5, eliminating counterplay. White continues with repositions the queen to c7, coordinating king and pawns. Mikhail Tal resigns. Roman Dzindzichashvili wins the game.